All right, is it 4 o'clock? Yep. So we're going to open the Port of Bellingham March 30th meeting. There was no executive session today, so we will begin with the meeting. Attendance, Commissioner Shepard, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell is here. All are here. We will have public comment period. Does anyone from the public have anything that they would like to add? Carrie, do you have anybody signed up that you know of?
No.
Anyone wishing to speak in the public?
I would like to speak if I may.
Uh-oh. Now we're in trouble.
Shirley McFerrin, Real Estate Director. I want to acknowledge that Lisa Lowe is in the audience with us. She was our legal counsel and represented us on this transaction. So Lisa, if you could just wave your flag, thank you.
Is that it? Any other public comments? Okay, we'll move. We don't have any consent agenda items. We'll go directly to the action items.
Okay. Motion by the Port Commission to approve item 1, consent to assignment of harbor lease and project development agreement from All American Marine Inc. to RMG Holdings Company for property located at 1010 Hilton Avenue in Bellingham, Washington. Item 2, collateral assignment of lease for security and leaser's consent.
Thank you, Carrie. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Terry Lahi, Senior Property Manager. First, I wanted to also welcome Matt Millett, who's the owner of All American Marine, Byron Bolton, who's the owner of RMG Holdings, and Ron Willey, who's the current president of All American Marine. They're all in their boardroom. All American Marine has been a port tenant since 2002, initially in the former Fairhaven shipyard site, and then in 2017, they moved to the new facility on Hilton Avenue. All American have now entered into a stock purchase and sale agreement, selling all their shares to RMG Holdings. RMG Holdings comprises or is part of the Renaissance Marine Group and the Brighton Marine Groups, and they have 4 facilities, 2 in Washington, in Port Angeles, and in Clarkston, and then 2 in BC, 1 in Vernon and 1 in Campbell River. Byron started his business in 1992 and currently has about 400 employees. They plan on operating All American Marine out of Bellingham with the current management and employee team, and they plan on improve and grow the business. Staff has reviewed the transaction and recommend approval. Prior to the Commission making a decision, if acceptable to you, I know Byron and Matt have a short presentation that they would like to share, after which we'll be happy to answer any questions. Carrie, would you mind letting Matt share the screen, please?
Yes, Matt Millett, CEO and owner of All American Marine. We really appreciate all of the support that we've received from Port of Bellingham over the last 15, 16 years as we've been a tenant, both in Fairhaven, as Terry mentioned, and here on Hilton Avenue. It's been a phenomenal ride. I turned 69 years old last month, and I always thought that I would follow in the steps of my maternal grandfather, who owned a business in Portland, Oregon, and kept working. And if he was in town, he was always down at the plant at least 4 days a week and 5 or 6 hours a day, and started realizing that number one, there's a lot of things that I still wanted to do on my bucket list while I have the opportunity to do that, and didn't want to be in this position 10 years from now, but instead to be able to spend that quality time with family and kids and pursue many of my many other interests. And never really believed that kind of shifting down, as Terry mentioned, Ron Willey here was appointed president and COO a few months ago. but realized that if I was shifting down, then I'm not giving it my all to the company. And I think anytime that happens, you kind of regress. And so it was important, I think, to the employees and the future of All American Marine really to pass the baton to someone who could kind of take the business to the next level. And someone that had been there before, wasn't unfamiliar. I think I'm pretty good at working with a small entrepreneur, successful, taking a product or a service, kind of growing it to a professionally managed company. But then really it's a different skill set and a perspective that takes the business, on from there under, a person that has more of a 20 or 30,000 foot level perspective. I've been involved with selling two businesses before, both Robert's Medical Option Care and the healthcare field, as well as Ocean Kayak, helping those people sell their businesses. And both of them were sold to publicly held companies, so they were really focused on the quarterly profits and really lost perspective of the long-term, well-being of the company, and everything was just all short-term. So I knew who I didn't want to sell the business to, because neither of those companies have a footprint in Whatcom County anymore. Very, very sad having such dynamic companies. So there's been very numerous dozens and dozens of suitors that have approached me to sell the business to over the years, especially in the recent years, as we continue to grow in our prominence within the industry. And Ron Willey worked for an organization up in Seward, Alaska, that also sold out to an international tourism company, a convention type company. And, it's just, he and I commiserate about what not to do. So that was a really high priority for me. But for me to find a potential new owner that had a history and a track record of taking really good businesses with really good leadership team and maintaining that continuity, embracing the same things that I believe that have made us successful. One is hire really good people, and you give them direction and kind of get out of their way, but then support them rather than micromanaging. And I believe Brian Bolton, he's demonstrated that with another number of his companies. He's got a Renaissance Marine Group in Clarkston, Washington, that he purchased, 8 to 10 years ago, and they still have 100% of their management team still intact. I think it's a huge testimony to his ability to, bring the right kind of ownership perspective to a growing company. And again, my goal is to keeping All American Marine on the trajectory where it's been headed over the last 20 years, really. So with all that, I'd like to introduce Brian Bolton to you.
Well, thanks very much, Matt. And thank you very much, Port Commissioners and staff. It's great to meet you virtually here today. Our relationship with those in our company and outside our company is important, and certainly we identify a relationship like with the Port of Bellingham to be one of those that is very, very critical and important for All American today and as we go forward. So certainly it's great to meet you virtually here today. What I thought I would do, I've got a real high level PowerPoint that I can just quickly go through, and I'll maybe speak to it to introduce a little bit of our organization and, a little bit of myself as well. Does that work for everybody if I just quickly go through that?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, good stuff. So Brighton Marine Group, and thank you very much for the kind introduction, Matt. Certainly appreciate that. We've been involved with building boats since the early 90s. And it was in the early 90s that my wife and myself started a company called Kingfisher. And grew that company to some decent prominence in the recreational boating market over the period of time since those early 90s. And today we have a number of different brands: Bricks, Duckworth, Eaglecraft, Kingfisher, Northwest, and Weldcraft that we have under our umbrella of Brighton Marine Group. Brighton Marine Group is the parent company, the parent entity that has the 4 different business units and hopefully soon to be 5 under our umbrella of leadership. And it's a very small group of people. There's basically 4 of us and myself at the Brighton level that provide support to the different businesses. And we have quite a decentralized model where the business units run quite independently from one another with some processes in place for sharing best practices and whatnot to help each of the different business units grow. And Ron, I'll maybe just, if you could just move to the next slide, that would be great. Thank you. So the Brighton Marine Group, it's a family-owned company. It's my lovely wife of over 33 years and myself in one of our vessels. We started the company, remains private to this day. And certainly that I think that fabric of ownership does cascade down into the business units, into the company, and really the culture of how we operate. Are you okay to just go to the next slide, please, Ron? So, we're very proud that today we call ourselves the number 1 manufacturer of heavy gauge welded aluminum boats in North America. And I'll maybe just talk about the 4 different business units in a little bit more detail. And I'm going to start with them not necessarily as they're laid out alphabetically, but I'm going to start with Kingfisher. So Kingfisher is located in Vernon, British Columbia, and there's a picture of the facility there that is located in Vernon. We employ about 180 employees there. And as I mentioned, that's where my wife Cheryl and I, that's the business that we started back in the early 90s. We have grown that business over the period of time. And as Matt mentioned, just about 10 years ago now, we acquired Renaissance Marine Group down in Clarkston, Washington. And there's another, you can see the aerial picture of our facility in Clarkston. And by the way, that our facility in Clarkston is located on port land, and I'd like to think we have a good solid relationship with the port of Clarkston, and certainly have nurtured that and developed that over a period of time. So Kingfisher and then Renaissance with its 3 brands of Weldcraft, Northwest, and Duckworth are very focused on the recreational boating market and have a dealer network that extends from Northern California to Alaska primarily. And then we've got a few dealers in the upper Midwest, and then we have dealers that go out as far as Maine, actually, a smattering of dealers on the East Coast and a few in central Canada. Other 2 business units in the group are Bricks Marine, which was originally Armstrong Marine, and we acquired that It'll be going on 4 years in the not too distant future. And we've got 50 employees there, and that company is very focused on building government commercial vessels, as well as a few recreational vessels there that we build. Very focused on catamarans as well. And the sweet spot for Armstrong, which has now been rebranded as Bricks, is about 35 to 50, 55 foot vessels. And then just over 2 years ago, we acquired Eagle Craft at Campbell River, British Columbia. Very similar company to Bricks. Builds very similar size of vessels, strictly monohulls, however, but once again, all welded vessels, very focused on government commercial craft from that 35 to 55 feet in length, and a few recreational vessels that we built there as well. Matt and I got to know each other, it'd be roughly 3 years ago, three and a half years ago, and certainly conversations led to different things, possibilities about the future, and certainly from our company standpoint, we saw where there was just a tremendous fit with our commercial business units with All American from a portfolio standpoint, just a terrific fit. But quite honestly, more importantly, that from that was the fit culturally. We, as I mentioned, we're very proud of the family ownership that and the values that cascade through the business units, and we see a really, really tight alignment of our values and how we do business with how Matt has done business over a period of time. And quite honestly, when over these last 3 years, I'm not sure who checked out who more, whether it was us checked out Matt, or I think Matt checked us out equally as well as we checked out All American with Matt's importance of who succeeds and takes All American into the future. And yeah, just at a high level, the purpose of our group is certainly enriching lives while spending time on the water. I've got a great passion personally for the marine industry, and that we push our purpose and communicate it at every opportunity within our group, with the stories of how we really have positively affected people's lives, certainly with our recreational boats, and certainly with boats that are put into service and into duty. I spoke quite a bit about our values when I was going over the different business units. I'm not going to read them all out to you, but certainly I feel a real tight alignment with Matt and ourselves with the values of our organization. And certainly a long-term objective is to build the most desired premium aluminum boat brands worldwide. And certainly we feel that the addition of All American to the group really helps to continue us well down that path. The next slide is great. A few customer competitive advantages. I'm not going to go through all of them to be respectful of everybody's time here, but we, from a professional management standpoint, we feel it's very important to understand the pillars that we're building the strategy of our growth of our business on. Next, so real high level timeline. Kingfisher back in '92, Renaissance be coming up to 10 years ago in the not too distant future. Bricks, Eagle Craft, and soon to be adding All American into the mix. Yeah, so why All American? Certainly I can't emphasize it enough. We can buy equipment and design and buy designs and all kinds of things, but really it's the people that are gonna make things happen and enable a company to grow. And we certainly identify that quite clearly with the team here in Bellingham. All American has a fantastic reputation in the markets and the customers that it serves. And All American has really become known as an industry leader with some of its innovation with hybrid propulsion systems, and now the hydrogen vessel that is currently being built, which will be the first hydrogen passenger carrying vessel in North America. So certainly we see just a terrific opportunity to have a wonderful portfolio to take to the market with the addition of All American into our group. And just maybe to go back to that team, that first and foremost is the traction to us with All American, and that team resides here in Bellingham, and you can't move the team around. You can certainly move equipment around, but you can't take the team, and it's certainly very important for us, and certainly what I think would speak to our commitment to this community. And next slide, please. I'm going to maybe take the PowerPoint slide off, and if we could just go back to the screen, and really just wanted to give you a real high-level overview of our organization and talk about why we have made this what we think is a very, very exciting decision to bring All American into our group and make plans to grow and carry forward in the days ahead here. So I'd certainly be glad to entertain any questions that you might have about our organization or our transaction or what we have planned in the days ahead.
Mr. Briscoe, would you want to start that off?
Sure. Well, I think it's going to be welcome to Bellingham. We're glad. When this first came to me, I was skeptical, like, okay, what's going on? Because things have been, very secretive, which is understandable in today's world, keep things confidential. But it was kind of like right out of the blue to us that something was going on. So at first, I was a little bit skeptical. Then, as I did my own digging into the right group, and then information came, of course, from our executive director and our real estate division as to what was involved here. It became very clear that you were a pretty committed company. So I became less and less skeptical and more comfortable. And here today in this meeting, I'm more comfortable as you've spoken. Matt, sorry to see you go. Brian, glad to see you come. And I hope you continue the outstanding work that All American has done. And that's all I have.
Excellent. And Bobby, I appreciate the comments, and just if I can speak to the confidentiality. As I mentioned, first and foremost, the company, in our opinion, is really a product of the team and the people here. And Matt and I felt it's so important that the communication to that team, first and foremost, that they hear it from Matt and then myself. We worked very hard to contain communication to a very small group that was navigating the deal. So certainly it was important for our team to hear that from us, and certainly hopefully you understand that decision.
Oh yeah, no, I understand totally. I was just surprised because usually I hear a tick here and there first and foremost when something's happening on the waterfront. And very good job, and rightly so. I totally understand why the confidentiality level was where it was at.
I always told my employees that don't believe in rumors because you're going to hear it from me first. So it was real important to maintain that credibility and go from there. So yeah, I'd like to just maybe keep thinking about questions, but to introduce to you Ron Willey, who is the president and CEO. He's been here for almost 3 years as our director of business development. And formerly he ran Kenine Fjord Tours up in Seward, Alaska. And we had the privilege of building 3 boats for him. So lots of management experience. He'll be handling all the day-to-day responsibilities here. And again, Byron is at a higher level, strategic planning and working at the synergies and best practices. But Ron?
Yeah, no, it's been a real pleasure for me to get to know Byron during this negotiation and to spend some more quality time, with him just in the last several weeks as we've gotten closer that way. But I'm very much aligned with both Matt and Byron in terms of the employee centric organization that we do have here, and really wanting to do my very best to continue on a number of the traditions that Matt has started, and Byron has been very supportive of that way. So we're very much looking forward to the future here at All American Marine. Looking forward to our next project and to incrementally growing the company over time. It's also been my pleasure to meet a number of you on a few different occasions, but unfortunately during the last year, we've certainly all been a little bit further separated than I would have liked to have been. And I certainly would have liked to have been, more involved, but that hasn't possibly been a possibility just due to the circumstances that we're all dealing with. Hopefully that will change in the very near future, and look forward to meeting everyone on a more personal level.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Ken, Commissioner Bell, no more questions.
Commissioner Shepherd, would you say a few?
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't have a great audio connection, so I hope you can hear me. I just wanted to thank you for all your work making this deal happen. In my research, you guys seem like a really great company to carry on a tradition of another really great company. I wanted to, I think the innovation we've seen out of All American Marine has been a really exciting piece of what they've contributed. And I hope to see that continue and expand. And then what should the workers and employees of the company expect with this transition for their future?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch.
The future of the employees and
What should they expect?
what would they expect?
Oh, okay. So certainly, we've been very careful to communicate. Generally, we're striving to make the transaction as seamless as possible, but also in the same breath, being careful not to share that things will absolutely stay the same. As much as possible, we do want things to stay the same as far as the team is concerned, and as far as the way the systems that are in place for compensation, for communication, for the various activities that really make the fabric of what All American is, such as some of the family events and Christmas dinners and this type of thing. So for the most part, all of those, the systems and whatnot that are in place today, our plan is to absolutely keep all of those in place and hopefully just complement them in the days ahead. And as far as the team is concerned, it's very, very important for us to have a good, solid management team in place here at All American Marine. So there's certainly no plans for changing out management players and whatnot. And I'm really quite proud of the fact that what Matt pointed out, it'll be almost 10 years since we acquired Renaissance in Clarkston, Washington, and right to the last single member of that management team is still in their roles. Well, not in their roles. They've actually had some of it advanced further and taken on greater responsibilities, but they're all with the company today. So do everything we can to keep the talent on board with the company today. Everything we can do to keep the management team on board and engaged going further into the future, and certainly from how they're treated and looked after. We really want to strive for as much continuity as possible there as well.
Okay, Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's all for me.
Thanks, Michael.
Oh, now it's my turn. Well, Matt, a long ride.
Yeah.
I'll just, one thing I'm thankful for is this has kind of been a field. Oh, I'd love to see all three of you at the same time. You don't have to zoom in that tight. I know what Matt looks like. This is kind of a field of dreams scenario where Matt came to us and said, if you build it, they will come. And we trusted in that because we know him, and we built it, and Matt, they came. The success of your operation, we feel very grateful to the port feels very grateful to have had a part in that. Unfortunately, we couldn't do a few of the things that you wanted to do to make it even better, but I will say that I am thankful that you did live up to everything you promised that you would do. Gentlemen, Ryan, you have some big shoes to fill. Sure, you know that. Brian, as you look across the table, you will never find a man with more integrity. You know this, I'm sure. More vision, more ethics. And he has left a lasting legacy, not only with the operation, but also with employees. The investment that he puts into people's lives has mattered. And I know that he has changed lives. And for that, I am thankful. Matt, we know you're not just moving on, but you're just moving on to something different, that you're going to still be here with us. And we look forward to the next journey that you have. Thank you, Brian. My biggest question for you is, after listening to your Prime Minister this morning, how are you going to get back home?
I do travel back and forth to the United States with the visa that I have for essential work and whatnot. But there is some little hoops that we have to jump through, at least in this period of time. So I will be looking forward to the simplicity of travel at some point in the future.
And no kidding, us too. I do a lot of work up in Alberta, so I know that.
Okay.
Well, anyway, thank you for the investment in our community. Thank you for the belief in this operation. We know that this will be a lasting legacy, and you're inheriting a great business from a great businessman and a great teacher. So thank you and welcome to the community. Anything we can do to roll out the red carpet, we will do. And we welcome you to Bellingham. With that, Carrie, I think we're ready for a vote.
Okay. Motion by the Port Commission to approve item 1, consent to assignment of harbor land lease and project development agreement from All American Marine Inc. to RMG Holding Company for property located at 1010 Hilton Avenue, Bellingham, Washington. Item 2, collateral assignment of lease for security and leaser's consent.
Commissioner Shepard?
I'm a yes.
Mr. Briscoe?
Aye.
And I am also an aye. I forgot one thing in my little speech. Terry and Shirley, thank you for your work on this. Going through a sale like this is not easy. You two rose to the top. Thank you for your efforts in this deal as well. So with that, you've got a unanimous vote from the Port Commission.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate, again, the support that the port has given me. This business would not be in existence without the support of the port over the last couple decades here. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much to all.
Gentlemen,
Thank
unless
you.
you want to
You're
hear
welcome.
business, you're excused.
We're excused. I
No.
can go play.
Is there any other business?
I have none.
Mr. Shepard?
I have none.
And I, Commissioner Bell, have none. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.